did you make of the meeting that Aiyuk had with the Niners? One of the little tidbits in there was that they were going to kind of clear the air on things that had been said. What's your guess on what needed to be, at least clarified from the two sides when they talked face to face?
Yeah, we kind of got an indication that maybe something was brewing on Sunday because Brandon Aiyuk posted an Instagram story. He was on a private jet. His son was, funny enough, passed out right in front of him. They looked very comfortable, legs stretched out, laid back in some really comfortable reclining chairs. And the geotag, meaning the location, that's the new hip word on Instagram, said Bay Area. And you think about the timing of that. OTAs and minicamp are well in the rear view. The Niners as a team don't meet until the end of July. So you had an indication, is Brandon Aiyuk flying to the Bay Area and posting about it, giving us some clues that maybe a contract is going to get done at some point this week. And then on Monday, we found out why. Ryan Clark, former safety for the Steelers, for Washington, now an ESPN NFL analyst, reported after having Brandon Aiyuk on his podcast, The Pivot, that Aiyuk was in the Bay Area because him and his agent, Ryan Williams of Athletes First, set up a meeting with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. We didn't know how that went. And then 2 days later, we had the report from Tom Pelissero that it went well. Both sides said things that needed to be said. And I thought that was a positive step in the right direction. Obviously, they're still at an impasse because the deal hasn't gotten done. But Larry, you and I have worked for bosses we might not necessarily like, and we've worked with coworkers who we don't necessarily like. I don't know about you. I'm not really going to go out of my way to talk to a boss who I don't really like or hang out with coworkers who I don't like. So I thought it was a step in the right direction as well, that they were at least at a point in their relationship where things are amicable, they're friendly, and they can sit down and have a grown-up, mature, real, honest conversation about where things are, hash some things out, and both sides can probably share their points of view. I think today in America, we're certainly not doing that enough. So for them to actually have a face-to-face conversation and for Brandon Aiyuk to not demand a trade, because that's part of this meeting as well, all of that is good. And today, he posts that he's driving to the facility. So could a deal be in the works over the next couple of days, another meeting, or is he just getting a workout at the facility?
Well, my guess is if he's there, he's probably there to sign. That would be my guess. Joe D says, I think he'll sign today, or why post anything? I don't know. I mean, he's been very cryptic. He's thrown a lot of things out there. It's kind of in Aiyuk's interest to keep this thing on the front burner in the fans' consciousness because he doesn't have a lot of leverage or cards to play here. So the only way he can make this in any way kind of a burning issue in Ninerland is to keep posting on social media.
Yeah.
So I think that's, why we're seeing that. By the way, Frank Tom Ocean, he says, missed my super chat last night, Larry. Hey, Frank, I apologize, bro. I absolutely did not see it. I don't know about you, but I take every one of those super chats very, very seriously. So I apologize, bro. I didn't mean to miss it. It might have snuck through the cracks, but I appreciate you nonetheless. What do you think? I mean, my guess is, we're hearing that, the Silver said the Niners offer is $26 million. That's the only thing that we really have to go on. That, and we know that Justin Jefferson got $35 million, and we know Aiyuk's going to be south of that. So we kind of have a ceiling, and the ceiling's probably quite a bit higher than where Aiyuk's going to land. But we also know what the Niners have probably offered, because I think Silver's reporting at $26 million is probably accurate.
Yeah.
I get a feeling that if it's closer to $26 million than 35, the Niners will win. If it's north of 30, I think Aiyuk in his side technically you could chalk that up as a win. But if you said what's it going to be, I would say the compromise is 28 AAV, 29 AAV, 75 to 80 million guaranteed, maybe 40 to 50 fully guaranteed, something along those lines. I mean, is that kind of what you're expecting as well? I mean, we're all just kind of reading the tea leaves. I have no sources on this. I'm just trying to kind of put together what I've read, my kind of sense of it is.
It's pretty wild how much the wide receiver market has been reset just this offseason alone. And it reminds me of what happened a couple of years ago. If you remember when Christian Kirk got a huge bag from Jacksonville after leaving Arizona. And in turn, after he got paid, because he's not looked at as a true number one or an elite wideout, all these other wide receivers started to get paid and they continue to reset the market. But I don't think it's been as active as it's been this offseason, because I went back and looked at my first Brandon Aiyuk contract projection all the way back in March or April. And I had him making $26 million per year, because at the time I thought that that was really good money. At the time, it was top 5 wide receiver money, average annual value. But then we've seen this flurry of contracts happen at the wide receiver position this offseason, and the market has continued to reset. And in turn, I think that is naturally just driven up Brandon Aiyuk's price tag. Whereas if after the Super Bowl, the Niners would have signed him to a deal giving him $26 million per year, really good guaranteed money, he would have signed it. But you look at the average AAV for the top wideouts in the game right now, you have Justin Jefferson at 35. And I thought that that just naturally brought the price tag up for Aiyuk, because he's not a Justin Jefferson as far as production, him being that player. But Justin Jefferson also has a bunch of more targets, and Aiyuk can say, well, if he gets 35, I'm not to that level, but I'm worth $30 million per year, especially if Jamar Chase and CD Lamb end up getting 32, 33. So I think he has an argument there, but Jefferson is at 35 per, AJ Brown's at 32, Tyreek Hill at 30, and then you start to enter the territory where I think Aiyuk belongs. Amon-Ra St. Brown is at 30, Jalen Waddle 28.25, Devontae Adams at 28. Then you have Cooper Kupp at 26.7, Devontae Smith at 25, Nico Collins at 24.25, and DK Metcalf at 24, which has ended up being a bargain at this point for him in Seattle. So I think that Aiyuk is well worth $28 million. I don't think he's quite at 30, and I don't think he's as low as 26. And if a deal were to get done, I think what it comes down to, Niners have to go up from that 26 number. And if the number is 30 for Aiyuk, he comes down to about 28. And then quickly, Larry, obviously guaranteed money is going to play a big role in this too. Jefferson got 110, AJ Brown 84, Amon-Ra St. Brown 77.7, Jalen Waddle at 76, Cooper Kupp at 75, Tyreek Hill at 72.2. 10th is Deebo Samuel at 58. And that's an important number, because Aiyuk wants more in AAV than Deebo and more in guaranteed money. So I think that price is anywhere from 60 to, could it be up there with Amon-Ra St. Brown at 77.7?
Is an Aiyuk signing going to spur a Deebo trade before the season? And the only reason I bring this up is Albert Breer keeps banging on this door that, you know, the Deebo trade possibility is still very much on the table. And yet I've gotten the feeling that it seems like the Niners seem like they've already made their decision there, and that they want to go forward this year with both Aiyuk and Deebo. Who's right? Is Breer right? Am I right? Is Deebo here this year, or you think Deebo is here only until Aiyuk signs and then maybe Deebo's gone?
I've kind of taken this stance ever since the Niners lost the Super Bowl. I always thought that they were going to run it back with this team, and they're really going to try to capitalize on Brock Purdy being on that rookie deal. Keep in mind that they're top 6 in cap space right now, so they have plenty of money right now that they can roll over toward next year. But I think that they understand that they're so close. They've been to 3 straight NFC championship games. Brock Purdy was awesome in replacing Garoppolo. He was excellent last year, top 5 in MVP voting, top 10 in every major statistical category pretty much. And they get it where they look at the offense. It's a special unit. They averaged nearly 30 points per game last year. Continuity matters. Fit matters. They have a defense that is also extremely talented. ESPN this week ranked every single roster in the NFL. They had the Niners at number 1. They had their biggest strength as their offensive skill players. Why not run it back with this whole collection of really special players for this year when you can afford it, while Brock Purdy's on his rookie contract? And then when you give him that new deal next offseason and you factor in potentially a new Aiyuk contract, That's when you look at the roster and you say, okay, are we going to have to make another Eric Armstead type of move where we let a veteran go who's been very highly valued by us, very well respected by this organization, has been here for a while, been a marquee player for us in this league, a team captain. But this is the reality. We've got to finagle the cap and we've got to massage the salary cap and the financial implications of this roster because this team is getting a little bit older and the roster is getting increasingly expensive. You have to think that the salary cap is going to continue to go up, but how is this DirecTV Sunday ticket going to impact the cap down the road, which organizations might be thinking about and having some foresight into right now? So I think they run it back. That's been my prediction all along. I think Aiyuk signs, and then next offseason, you see maybe some significant changes depending on what happens this year for the Niners. If they win the Super Bowl, it's completely easy to just have that reset. If they get close again and narrowly lose emotionally, it's going to involve some hard decisions.
It's really interesting. The whole thing is very, very interesting. And then it kind of makes you wonder too. It's like, some receiver most likely is going to get traded. I mean, they're not cutting all these guys. No. Somebody's going to get traded. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Aiyuk or Debo, but it might be Ronnie Bell. It might be Danny Gray. I could see, I mean, there's only so many receiver spots. One goes to Aiyuk, one goes to Debo, one goes to Pearsall, one goes to Cowing, one goes to JJ. All right. Those are 5 right there.
You have one more spot.
Maybe one more spot, maybe not. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they also have a lot of running backs. So, if they have one more spot, does it go to Ronnie Bell? Does it go to Trent Taylor, Danny Gray, Chris Conley? I think Chris Conley might be the guy who that spot goes to the way he played on special teams in the Super Bowl. But I mean, to me, I think there's probably a trade coming, even if it doesn't involve Aiyuk or Debo. Two chats that I think are good chats here I want to throw in. Dean Davis Jr. says, let him play on the 5th-year option, get a year of development for the younger receivers, franchise tag him next year, ship him to New England for Christian Gonzalez and a 2nd rounder. That would be intriguing. I mean, that would be a great trade too. Christian Gonzalez and a 2nd rounder. That with New England being as bad as they are, you're talking about Christian Gonzalez in like the 35th pick overall, for Aiyuk. So, and that's after this year. I mean, that's a good one. Here's another interesting one from Blood Moon. He says he's clearing out his locker since he knows a trade is happening. He was wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates hat. Ha, ha, ha. He did seem, I'll say this.
Didn't seem happy.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I thought he seemed kind of edgy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, open the damn gate.
Yep.
This is my, did he say this is my house or this is my
Something
place?
Like
this is my whatever. Maybe he's talking about the song. I don't know, but what do you make of the Pittsburgh? I mean, I get the sense that Aiyuk loves jerking everybody's chain. He loves playing these games. But every time he does something, we try to read into it. Oh, Jaden Daniels, what did it mean? Is he going to the Commanders? Oh, he tweeted to Mike Tomlin he wants to go to the Steelers. The Steeler Nation just is been all over this story in the offseason, and they seem to maintain that they really believe it's going to happen. I don't know if they have credible sources. I don't know Andrew Fittipaldo or his show in Pittsburgh. But what do you make of the Pirates hat? Is it possible that Blood Moon's right that he's really just there to clean out his stuff and maybe this is not coming to a head as far as he's going to sign? Maybe it's coming to a head that he's departing. I mean, they've already kind of said they're not looking to trade him,
right?
But I don't know what to believe at this point.
Yeah, I threw you the link for that Instagram story, Larry, in the private chat here on StreamYard. I don't know how you usually play those videos, but if you find a way to fetch that link, you can show it to the people if you want. But I don't make much of athletes wearing other teams' hats. I mean, it's a style thing, right? Like, I love wearing all types of hats. Now, of course, I feel weird when I wear another team's hat as compared to the teams that I grew up rooting for. But at the same time, if it matches my outfit and it looks fresh, then I'm going to put it on, right? So Aiyuk wearing a Pittsburgh hat, I don't make too much of it. I will say, I think the Pittsburgh uniforms, The logo, the colors, black and yellow, they're really fresh. And if you ever want to go on a road trip to watch a baseball game, PNC Park in Pittsburgh is one of the best parks in Major League Baseball. So
right there on the Allegheny, right?
Yeah, right on the river with the bridges and the skyline in the background. So I don't make much of that, but I thought you brought up a good point. Like Aiyuk didn't seem, oh, I'm going to sign a contract. Let's go. I'm getting my bag.
Seemed
He's
kind of
blaring
edgy.
music, listening to music, and he's like, open the gate. And I wouldn't drive to my workplace if I was happy and be like, open the gate right now. Let's go. Unless I'm just jacked up from the song that he was listening to, which is a possibility as well.
Yeah. And I do have, I've already retweeted it. So I also have my Twitter up, but the only reason I'm not going to play it is it had some music in it. And I don't want to demonetize the whole thing,
true.
Especially with Kev hanging out in Europe.
Could you mute it? You can mute it, right? When you share the screen.
Yeah, I can mute it. Let me see. Maybe I can do it here.
And the people will see that when he approaches the gate, he just is like, he yells, he's like, open the gate.
Okay, hold on a second.
But that's smart. That's smart by you. You can't get demonetized with the music. YouTube will just
so here it is.
Quick.
I know, seriously. Well, and you can do other things to wipe it off and this and that, but Kev being in Paris right now with his girl, it's like not easy to do. But here, I'm going to share the screen.
Dad, I went to go pop up the channel in Paris and it was gone. What happened? What'd you do?
Wait a second. Keep that volume down. Hold on. Volume.
I'll keep talking until you turn it down. There we go.
There we go. Now we got it down. Now I'll roll it and we can take a look. People are like, you coming back, bro? Commanders, new commander.
Levi's right there.
Yep. He's driving past Levi's. He's got, I'm not sure what kind of ride he's got, but it looks pretty nice.
Pittsburgh
Pirates hat. Got the Pirates hat with the sticker on the inside part of the thing, inside part of the bill, and it's in the hat's riding high.
The thing is, he's also live on this, so this is a live Instagram feed right now because you see the comments coming in. Right.
So people are like, "Stay in San Francisco, stay faithful." Oh man. So what is this? Are we looking at a guy who's on his way to Pittsburgh and cleaning out his locker? Or are we looking at a guy who just talked to Lynch and Shanahan and is just coming in to sign his paperwork? My guess is it's one of the two, but something tells me, those are not necessarily, there's two diametric opposites there as far as what could be going on, but I don't know what to read.
Look, when you have a meeting like this, I talked about this earlier this week, like what could come out of this meeting, right? Aiyuk could demand a trade or request a trade like Deebo Samuel did because Ryan Clark said he was taking all of this personal. The Niners could give Aiyuk permission to seek a trade, which is different than demanding a trade. In turn, the NFL verbiage for that is, okay, if I'm John Lynch, I can say to Aiyuk and his agent, we're not going to trade you. You haven't demanded a trade, but we'll give you permission to seek one, meaning you can put some feelers out there to see which teams are willing to trade for you and pay you. That's also an option. Nothing at all could happen from this because there's a month to go until training camp. I could also see Aiyuk saying, I love ball. I want to be here. I don't want to miss time. So let's get a deal done. And the Niners can say, well, that's great. We want to get a deal done too, but at our price, not your price. And of note, Tom Pelissero said the other day, Aiyuk did not demand a trade, so we can cross that off from that list.
We got a couple of interesting ones here. Zuka says BA getting traded. So that's what his take is. And then we've got Strawberry React saying Zuka is wishing that he'll be traded. Maybe Zuka is a Steeler fan. We also have this one, super, from Blood Moon, who's getting off a bunch this morning. He says, BA will get the bag, but greed for a bigger bag will be on a team with no ring in sight. $26 million a year is still a ton of money. BA needs to think money or ring. So he thinks that he wants to, that's kind of the ultimate question right there. Does BA just want to be taken care of and get a big bag, or does he want the biggest bag? Would he rather be on the Niners with a big bag or on a team that's not quite the Niners Super Bowl contender status wise, but gets the biggest bag?
Yeah.
That's the question.
So I grew up idolizing in sports broadcasting. I've wanted to be a sports broadcaster since I was 5, and I grew up idolizing Colin Cowherd, Scott Van Pelt, Rich Eisen, Dan Patrick. And a reason why I like them is because they did radio and television, but also I thought they did such a great job and do such a great job now, because they're still legends in this business, of making real life comparisons to professional sports. And I think it's easy to be able to be employed in whatever job that we're in, right? But then kind of look at it from a business standpoint with professional sports, because people oftentimes lose sight of professional sports being a business, right? So I thought about it this way a little bit earlier this week. Like, I came to Chat Sports in 2021. I absolutely love working here. This job has changed my life. I love who I work for, who I work with, where I live right now. The job
That's not what you were telling me. Oh, no.
The job that I have is absolutely incredible. And like, I'm taken care of financially. I'm able to talk about what I want to talk about every single day. I've helped build the company. All of it has been incredible, right? And with that being said, another company could come to me with a really big offer, but it could be a really crappy job, especially in today's media landscape. I don't really care about the money. If I'm doing what I love here, and I love who I'm working for, who I'm working with, and we're winning and we're building the company, and the 49ers report is growing and we're getting crazy views, and I'm getting taken care of for what I want financially, I'm fine. And for Aiyuk, I'd rather get paid, of course, and get that new deal, because he has 1 year left. He's emerged as a top 10 wide receiver. He feels as though that he should be compensated. He should be compensated. But don't you also love playing for a team that has all of these future All-Pros and Hall of Famers, Kyle Shanahan as your head coach? You know what you have in your quarterback, because your numbers have been incredible with Brock Purdy as the quarterback. You've been to 3 straight NFC titles. You play for a powerhouse brand. You can't write the history of the NFL without the Niners. They're so close to winning a Super Bowl. You're already a legend here, and you're going to get paid. So what really is the difference between $28 million and $30 million? Is it bragging rights? Yeah, it might be bragging rights, but wouldn't you rather be making 28 on a really good team where you know that you're always going to have really good production with Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, and these weapons? You're going to win. You're going to be happy, instead of being with an organization where you're frustrated on the sideline because you have shitty quarterback play. They can't get you the rock. Your numbers suffer. But at the end of the day, okay, you're getting paid, but I'd rather be happy, because I do think that quality of life is really important.